It's the final Pac-10 regular season game for Quincy Pondexter, the lone senior for UW, making a case for the Pac-10 Player of the Year.
Well, he's got my vote. Coupon is what they call him, and this is why, because you buy one, you get one free with him. 15 feet it in, he is lethal. He will get to a spot and elevate over any defender. Very smart player, face-up game, and that aspect of his game is one that was knocked heavily early in his career. And, you know, he had a lot of expectations coming into UW. Everybody expected the world of him. So some people said he didn't live up to the billing, but nobody can say that he isn't living up to it right now.
Thursday, he had 34 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 6 high-flying dunks down in Eugene against the Ducks. For Oregon State, they have 4 seniors playing their final Pac-10 home game. One of them is Seth Tarver. He has been excellent defensively, maybe the Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year, and he's done it on the offensive end as well.
Well, Seth Tarver, another guy similar to Pondexter, came into his university with high expectations. A lot of people didn't feel like he lived up to it early in his career, but you've seen him improve time and time again in each season of his career. Has become a much better shooter, a much better decision maker on transition breaks with his passing. His all-around game has improved, and I expect him to come out and really set the tone tonight.
Now, his head coach, Craig Robinson, said that Thursday's game was the biggest he had ever coached at Oregon State. He says because of that win over Wazoo, today's is even bigger. Big game between the Beavers and the Huskies. Let's have a look at our Oberto Beef Jerky starting lineups. Quincy Pondexter, second in the conference in scoring. He is averaging 20.3 a game for the Huskies, the lone senior on their entire roster. Meanwhile, for the Beavers, Roland Schoftenaar and Seth Tarver, 2 seniors in the lineup. Jared Cunningham and Abdul Gadi squaring off 2 true freshmen. That is a battle that will be a preview of things to come in the Pac-10. The head coach of UW is Lorenzo Romar in his 8th season, 14th year overall as a D1 head coach, also at Pepperdine and St. Louis, last year's Pac-10 Coach of the Year, and looking to get his team back to the NCAA tourney. Greg Robinson has this Oregon State program on the rise, 32 wins over the last 2 years, and with a win here, they would finish the Pac-10 at 500. First time in 17 years that the Beavers would be 500 in conference play. Our officials tonight, Mike Reed, Bobby McRoy, and Don McAllister. Reed will throw it up in the air as Matthew Brian Ammoning and Seth Tarver will jump it up. And we are underway for the final Pac-10 regular season game for each of these 2 teams. They opened up the Pac-10 year, what seems like a year ago, New Year's Eve up at Montlake. And that was a win for the Huskies by 6 points, although Oregon State had a chance to tie with under a minute to go. Inside, put up and in by Quincy Pondexter. So Coupon coming up early inside.
Well, he is, and if you're Oregon State, that's the last thing you want. A guy coming off a career high Thursday night, you don't want to let him get an easy basket and see the ball go through the bucket, because then it'll make it very easy for him throughout the game.
Here's Cunningham against Gaddy, 2 true freshmen. Seth Tarver being defended by Justin Holiday, a good defender, and Tarver's floater won't fall. Rebound, Brian Ammoning. Holiday left open momentarily. Now to Brian Ammoning, slam dunk, NBA.
Well, Rich, already we see 4 points in the paint for UW, and that's exactly what the Huskies want to do and what Oregon State doesn't want them to do. In talking to David Grace, the Oregon State assistant, prior to the game, he says he wants to master physicality. And in order to do that, you can't give him opportunities in the paint. So good job from UW taking advantage.
And you saw Jared Cunningham turn it over. His head coach, Craig Robinson, looking on. Cunningham has been cutting down the turnovers. He is a true freshman, but he hasn't been playing like one recently.
Well, one thing the Huskies do very well is force turnovers. They get out, they play aggressive, they will take chances, and they're so athletic that they can make up anytime they make an error. Again, another basket in the paint.
And a great entry pass from the freshman to the senior, Gaddy to Pondexter, and it is 6-0 Huskies. When these teams squared off on New Year's Eve, Oregon State jumped out in front to a 19-10 lead. Schoftenaar against Brian Ammoning. Fakes right, goes left, and kicks it back outside to Daniel Dean. And there's 13 on the timer. And it's Cunningham, and he drains it for 3. Just his second 3-pointer since mid-January. blocking violation called at the other end on Cunningham, and that's the first foul on either team.
Oregon State foul number 1, Jared Cunningham, his first, Beavers first.
Cunningham with the steal on the inbound pass. Here he is, one-on-one against Gaddy. He lays it up and in. In fact, Isaiah Thomas defending.
Well, that's what he does. We know he does that. The three, that's a rare occasion, but if he gets out on a transition break, you can count it as 2.
Gaddy skips it over to Holiday inside to Brian Amony. Jump hook, and he sends it home.
And right now, UW is playing smart, easy basketball. They know they can get the ball in the paint at will, and they are doing that. And if they keep on doing that, they'll have a very high chance of winning this basketball game.
Interestingly, the first meeting between the two teams, Oregon State had more points in the paint than UW. Shoftanar, his jump hook did not draw iron, and it's out of play. Last touch, I believe, by Daniel Dean. It'll be UW ball. They like to get physical, particularly with Shoftanar, to throw him off his game.
Yeah, they know that, and credit coaching. Lorenzo Romar, he knows the first time they played, there was no reason that Oregon State should have had more points in the paint than his team, so immediately they make the change, and it is working for him.
The Dogs are 4 of 4 from the floor. By Tarver and Haynes. Here's Cupon. Weak side board, volleyball out, and climbing up onto the table, Isaiah Thomas to try to save it, but couldn't do it.
Isaiah Thomas knows what's on the line here. He knows that RPI, that NCAA tournament, is on the line. So if he has to go in the stands to get a ball, he will. You see Vanoy Overton check into the game. Everybody knows what he does, and he will be a pest on defense. It'll be interesting to see how Jared Cunningham handles his pressure.
Here's Haynes going around that ball screen. Joe Burton into the game. The true freshman reverse layup. We got a traveling violation against Joe Burton. Burton didn't have any turnovers on Thursday against Wazoo, and that was big for him. And he had 6 points down the stretch to extend the lead back out in a game the Beavers won over the Cougs. 2-3 zone now for Oregon State. Brian Emmening sets a pick. Thomas to Overton. Back to Isaiah over Haynes. Rebound, Matthew Brian Amony. Jump hook won't go. Tip up and in by Quincy Pondexter. What a follow.
This is just another thing that makes UW tough. If they miss, they are most likely going to come up with the offensive rebound. They've been a very good offensive rebounding team for the last few years, and it gives them a lot of extra opportunities.
And a foul called in the shot by Jared Cunningham. They go to the free throw line. It's against Vanoy Overton. First foul on the Huskies. 15:54 to go, first half action. Gill Coliseum in Corvallis, and the Huskies are leading the Beavers 10-5. 15:54 to go in the first half, and Washington leading Oregon State 10-5. What a spectacular day here in the Willamette Valley. Here's the way the Pac-10 tourney shakes up if Washington wins today here over Oregon State. Washington would take on Oregon State if they win tonight. That would be the quarterfinal matchup on Thursday, and that would be a 6 o'clock game. If Wazoo wins, they have the 7 seed. They avoid the play-in game. They're taking on Oregon down in Eugene right now. And if Stanford wins, they avoid the play-in game on Wednesday. In fact, Stanford already lost against Cal. And so it's up to Washington State to determine whether or not they or Stanford have to play in that play-in game on Wednesday. Jared Cunningham hit 2 free throws to seal the win over Wazoo with 1 second left on Thursday. He had 8 steals, tying a school record set by Brent Berry back in 1995 and Seth Carver earlier this year against Cal State Bakersfield. Traveling violation on Vanoy Overton. Craig Robinson said his goal is to get the guards out on the top of that 1-3-1, keep the ball out of the Huskies guards' hands as much as he can to avoid them making those plays.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Husky guards, Isaiah Thomas, Benoit Overton, very capable, and they are the decision makers. So you want to make somebody else have to do something to beat you. And here's where, if you're Oregon State, you have to outcut Washington in this offense. Washington is stronger than Oregon State, so you got to have plays like that, strong post-ups, strong drives, in order to have a chance against this Washington defense.
Huskies foul, number 20.
Foul against Quincy Pondexter, his first second team.
Personal second team foul.
And Jared Cunningham will take it in close to underneath the hoop and out to Schoftenau. Here's Joe Burton one-on-one against Matthew Bryan Amening. What a matchup there. And the 295-pound Joe Burton puts it in. Elston Turner tried to hook the pass to Bryan Amening, taken away by Joe Burton. Goal pass by Haynes. Seth Tarver picks it up. Haynes has Isaiah Thomas in his face. Pondexter, great defense against Schoftenau, and a foul reaching violation against Isaiah Thomas. That's his first third team here on the west end of Gill Coliseum. They have some open windows. The small ones down below, the sun is shining through. That is the end of the arena that Oregon State is shooting towards. Inside, Burton to Schoftenau, and Whelan puts it in. Big run for Oregon State to tie this one up. Let's see how UW can respond. Benoit Overton for three, and he drains it.
Benoit Overton for three.
You got to pick your poison with UW. Somebody's going to get a shot up. It's either going to be Quincy Pondexter, it's going to be Isaiah Thomas, it's going to be Overton. And Oregon State coaches have elected to try to take Pondexter and Thomas out of the game as much as possible. Big shot by Benoit Overton.
He's just 25% on threes, so you'd rather give him that than some other people. And we got a whistle and a foul on Overton away from the ball. His second already.
Well, Rich, you commented on the windows and the sun shining in, but these guys are basketball players. They played outside, games of course, whatever. They know how to play with the sun shining or not. And here's Benoit Overton. You see Oregon State kind of backed off, give that shot up to him, and he's saying, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to beat you.
Two seniors check in for Oregon State, Josh Tarver and Calvin Hampton. Abdul Gadi back into the game for UW. Here's Seth Tarver. Out to his brother Josh. Burton with the ball, true freshman against Bryan Amening. Cunningham around a pick. And his pass batted away, taken away by Elston Turner. Here come the Huskies. Bryan Amening. They swing it around now to Pondexter. Isaiah Thomas, and underneath for up and in by NBA. Matthew Bryan Amening and one.
What a pass from Thomas. The drive, the draw, the dish. You see him get into the paint. Goes up like he's going to take the shot. Gives a little lob for NBA, who he knows has a little guy on him. And you see the flex. Been in the weight room.
So that's what Oregon State is looking at when they're shooting those windows in the background. Bryan Amening misses the free throw. Here come the Beavers trailing it by 5. 13-15 to go. Josh Tarver, the senior, against sophomore Isaiah Thomas, who ran into a brick wall. Calvin Hampton looked like he might have jarred his neck. Derek Glasser had a neck sprain last year in a game down in Eugene when the ASU point guard ran into a pit. That can hurt. Jared Cunningham for three. This is his second effort. Here's Tupon. Looking to create something. Gives it off to Thomas. Daddy inside one-on-one. outside for three. No good from Turner. Picked up by Pondexter, not good. Rebound Burton.
If you're Oregon State, somebody has to make up their mind and make a play going towards the basket. Off the bounce, off the initial pass, the ball has to get into the paint. And right now with Oregon State, their two big scorers, Calvin Haynes, Ted Tarver out of the game.
Here's Burton against Brian Ammoning. That is 535 pounds of basketball player right there. Those two matched up. Second opportunity.
Those two make 535 pounds look really good.
Joe Burton and Matthew Brian Ammoning. Burton at 295. And here he is, one-on-one against Brian Ammoning. And reverse laying up and in. Agile for 295.
Rich, he's been calling for the ball for like 3 minutes. Ever since that play a few minutes ago where he got the ball down low and made a move and scored, Oregon State did not go back to him at the block. And that's where you have to play smart basketball, recognize it, and get him the ball.
Brian Ammoning's shot won't go. Rebound Burton, and he throws it away. Turnover on Joe Burton. That's his second. 11:15 left. Huskies by 3. First half action here in Corvallis. Great atmosphere here in Corvallis. Washington leading Oregon State 15-12 midway through the first half. If Oregon State wins this game, here's how the Pac-10 tourney would stack up. Beginning on Wednesday with the play-in game between Oregon against either Wazoo or Stanford. If Oregon State wins, they face Arizona at noon on Thursday in the quarterfinals, a team that they would be trying to beat for the third time this year. Meanwhile, Washington, if they lose this one, they would square off against UCLA in the 3-versus-6 game at 6 o'clock on Thursday.
And that scenario being more favorable for Oregon State. You know, they've already beaten Arizona twice this season. If you're Washington, you know, actually, if you're watching, you probably don't care who you play the way those guys are playing right now. They probably feel like they'll beat anybody, but you'd rather not face UCLA in LA in the Staples Center. But like I said, the way they're playing right now, it doesn't even matter.
Been 17 years since Oregon State finished with a 500 conference record. Jimmy Anderson's team back in 92-93 went 9-9 in conference play. And that would be an amazing progression from 2 years ago when they were 0-18.
It would be huge. Any new coach that comes into a program usually establishes a 3 to 5 year plan. Craig Robinson in his second year is ahead of schedule, and he wants to keep that trend going.
There's Elston Turner nearly walked. Omari Johnson, left hand, lay it up and in. Abdul Gaddy.
That's a nice hesitation. You saw Gaddy with the hesitation, started step, froze Omari Johnson, gets into the paint, finishes. Again, for Oregon State, you want to play smart basketball. You found success getting the ball to Joe Burton in the paint, so you want to go back to that, get it to Shafkanar, or if Omari Johnson is hot.
And at the 3, rebound Quincy Pondexter. Isaiah Thomas over Omari Johnson, rattles out, one-hand rebound, Wilton Shafkanar. He had his other hand tied up and was able to spear it with one hand.
Well, that other hand was being used to hold off Pondexter. You have to try any trick in the book to keep UW off the boards because they crash it as hard as anybody in the conference, leading the conference in rebounding right now.
Jared Cunningham against Gaddy, true freshman against true freshman, and now to Joe Burton who goes up and gets fouled. And against Tyrese Brashear is his first.
I mean, Rich, is it just me, or is Joe Burton having about a 90% success rate every time he touches the ball? If you're Oregon State, run your offense through him, especially with Calvin Haynes out of the game, with Seth Tarver. You have to find a way to get offense, so you want to come down and get him the ball because he's playing right now.
Referee Bobby McRoy threw him the ball, and Burton was practicing his free throws, and it hit him down around the knees, and McRoy wanted it back. He said, let me give it to you again.
Yeah, Joe wants to get the whole thing going.
Alvin Haynes, you saw, back in for Oregon State. He was a teammate at South Kent Preparatory School in Connecticut of both Isaiah Thomas and Matthew Bryan Emeny. And their coach there, Rafael Chilius, is now an assistant under Lorenzo Romar at UW. Justin Turner with Josh Tarver flying in his face. Can't. It won't fall. And rebound Amari Johnson. 3-point Husky lead. One-on-one, Shaftanar puts it up over Gant. Not good. The roll falls out. Like one of my putts, Lamar. Joe Burton on the follow, puts it up and in. And at nearly 300 pounds, there might be a dent in the floor.
The Big Joe's having fun right now. And you can see why.
This place is loud. The fun is back at Gill Coliseum. And a reach-in violation on Josh Tarver. That'll take the air out the balloon.
Big Joe Burton, I just said he's having like a 90% success rate. And he's saying, well, if y'all not going to throw me the ball, I'll just find a way to come up with it. You see him relentless on the offensive glass, comes up with the ball. And like you said, Rich, I agree there might be a dent in the floor. You got 300 pounds falling on it like that.
He comes out. Daniel Dean comes in. There's Elston Turner. Fake left, went right. For Tyrese Brashear, second opportunity won't fall. And on the rebound, a foul called against Oregon State. It's against Seth Tarver, and that is his second. And the fourth team foul. Lathan Wallace getting ready to check in for Oregon State. Justin Holiday getting ready to come back in for UW. As is Matthew Bryan Emeny. Tyrese Brashear's just a 51%er hits the first free throw. Seth Tarver checks out with 2 fouls. That's a big loss for Oregon State here. 8:29 to go in the first half. Lathan Wallace in. Abdul Gaddy sits down. There's Justin Holiday back in. And volleyballed out by Dean. And another opportunity for UW leading it 18-16. Here's Gaddy. Great move again. Left-hand layup. Put it up. In fact, Isaiah Thomas, forgive me. Both Gaddy and Thomas have done that. Driven down the left side of the lane for a left-hand layup.
Well, Pondexter just came out the game, and we saw Isaiah Thomas dash from the bench to go check in because Romar knows he needed a scorer in, and that's why he's in the game.
Wallace for 3. Weak side board tipped by Sharptonar. Go down by Josh Tarver. Tried to force the pass to Dean, and it's popcorned in the air and out of bounds back to Oregon State. With 32 on the timer. Huskies lead it by 4. 7:50 to go in the first half here in Corvallis. Huskies leading the Beavers 20-16 with 7:50 to go here in the first half, and UW certainly hoping for the conference berth by winning the tourney, but at the very least they want an at-large berth. And so what about the teams over the last decade? Here it is, Pac-10 teams with a 50-plus RBI rating to make the NCAAs with an at-large bid. And you can see that all the way up to a 66 RBI. Stanford in 2007 made it. Daniel Dean against Bryan Emeny puts it up and in.
Strong move from Daniel Dean. You've seen some inconsistency in his playing time this season because you don't always know which Dan you're going to get. But if you get that one, I'm sure he'll be out on the court for a while tonight.
There's Justin Holiday. Didn't draw iron. Holiday's been struggling with his shooting a tad. To shoot. Tarver uses the shot on our pick. 6 on the timer. Josh Tarver. And Tarver.
Josh Tarver saving his best for senior night. He knows this is the last hoorah. Nice pullback move, nice hesitation, and a nice shot to finish.
That was on Elston Turner. He leaves the game as Benoit Overton checks in. And Oregon State with a chance to take their first lead. And Tarver converts the three-point play. 2-3 zone for Oregon State. They began the game in their 1-3-1, which is so effective. And Thomas splits the seam and lays it up and in.
And you may wonder why was that so easy and so open, because Pondexter was drawing all the attention of Ruland Shaftenar, whose responsibility was to help on the drive. Shaftenar ends up on the floor. Isaiah gets the layup.
Kevin McShane checking in on the Beavers for
Here's Isaiah Thomas again being aggressive, going to the hoop, and you see Shaftenar, he's so occupied with Pondexter, which rightfully so he should be. Ends up falling down, looks like a little bit of an ankle injury. Time for Goso, OSU trainer, takes him back to the room. Hopefully they're gonna get him right.
Huskies back up by 1. There's Kevin McShane into the game for the first time for Oregon State. There's a logo on his back. That big 0. 6 on the timer. Tarver last time down with a shot clock win. He converted a three-point play. This time going full. Tipped by Pondexter to Brian Amony. Here's Overton. Thomas on his left. Isaiah Thomas blocked by Josh Tarver. Blocking foul on Tarver. He is claiming to official Bobby McRoy that it wasn't a foul, but looked to me like he got him. Woo!
That was a lot of activity taking place at about 12 feet in the air. You see Isaiah, he leads a little bit with that off arm. That's what Tarver is trying to make a case of. I think Tarver has a case on that one. The rule, Rich, as you know, is if you're Josh Tarver, you have to go straight up and straight down. But a lot of times, once the players get in the air, it's just an interpretive call by the refs. They make up their mind and they figure what's really a foul and what's not. And on this one, they say that that was a foul.
Thomas is 73%er, misses the first. Jared Cunningham back into the game for Oregon State. Josh Tarver sits down.
He initiated all the contact, ref.
Huskies by 2. 6 minutes to go first half. Calvin Haynes against his former South Kent prep teammate, Isaiah Thomas. Now gives it up to Daniel Dean. Dean all the way right to the lane, and it's blocked by Holiday, picked up by Holiday to Overton. Here comes Benoit, plays basketball like he's in a pinball machine. Thomas double teamed quickly.
That's a great feed.
Brian Amony.
That was a great post-entry feed from Holiday. Amony has to finish that play.
McShane open for 3 and doesn't take it. 0 for 4 on three-pointers this year.
Oregon State has been running the shot clock down pretty much every possession.
Calvin Haynes for 3. Rebound McShane. His shot is rejected by Brian Amony. Isaiah Thomas. Great leaner off the glass.
And Isaiah says, go up and block that one if you want it.
Yeah, good luck blocking that.
You're not getting that one.
Yeah, Bobby Knight says when you do that, you want to get both shoulders between the defender and the ball, and Thomas did that well.
With some space left over. And Oregon State really needing a basket right now. This is where Calvin Haynes, who's your leading scorer, has to step up and make a play.
McShane after the lob from Dean back outside to Cunningham. Takes left, goes right, put it up, and he stepped on the baseline. Turnover on Jared Cunningham. Let's have a look at the RPIs again as they stand. This is Pac-10 teams with a 50-plus RPI rating to make the NCAAs with an at-large bid. And Stanford was a 66 in 07 when they made it.
So with UW currently being at 55, you have to expect that they're in, especially with the way they're playing as of late. And Isaiah Thomas is going to see to it that they get in. Winners of 8 of the last 10, 10 of the last 14. They want to add to that trend.
7-0 Husky run as they continue to get points on layups. Lathan Wallace gets fouled. And it is against Justin Holiday.
Foul number 22, Justin Holiday. His first 7.
Big block by Matthew Bryan Ammoning. And the Huskies are on a 7-0 run as Isaiah Thomas finishes. Huskies on a 7-0 run to take a 6-point lead here in Corvallis. So where do the teams stack up right now in the Pac-10 as far as being on the bubble to make the NCAA tourney? Got to figure Cal is in with an RPI of 21. Washington 51, ASU 54, Arizona 81 right now. Looking at the last decade, the teams in the Pac-10 with the best RPI not making the NCAA tourney. ASU at 61 in 2000. What this means is every team with an RPI on Selection Sunday of 60 or better made the NCAA tourney. UW needs this game to protect their RPI. They're facing a team with an RPI of 173 in Oregon State. A loss would severely hurt them. You have to think they would have to come up really big and probably win the Pac-10 tournament to get in.
Well, I think you said it best. They need the win to protect their bid into the tournament, not necessarily to earn it, because I believe to this point they've earned the right to play in the NCAA tournament. But like we talked about, the national recognition for the Pac-10 has been down this season. So in order to protect it and secure that vote into the tournament, they need a win tonight.
5-point Husky lead.
What you saw UW open the game up, getting the ball into the paint, and right before that pass, I was going to say they'd gotten away from it, but I'm sure in that last timeout, Lorenzo Romar probably noticed the same things we've been noticing and knows that that ball needs to get back into that paint. So that's how you come out of a timeout.
Foul on Ruland Schoftenar, his first 16 foul. Matthew Bryan Ammoning to the free throw line. 57% from the line coming in. Schoftenar playing his final Pac-10 regular season game here at Joe Coliseum in Corvallis. Possible Oregon State could host a game in another tournament, maybe the College Basketball Invitational, which they won last year, beating UTEP in a best-2-of-3 championship series. Burton tried to go inside to Schoftenar, and it's taken away. Here comes Coupon. Benoit Overton had the baseline sealed off by his teammate, Matthew Bryan Ammoning. And for 3, Holiday, it won't fall. Bryan Ammoning, the rebound, puts Omari Johnson in the air and puts it in. 2 years ago, Matthew Bryan Ammoning had 7 offensive rebounds here in this building in one game.
Well, he's trying to duplicate that performance, and I mean, he is on his way to getting there. Every time that ball goes up, he's relentless. If you're Oregon State, you might have to end up sending a guy and a half to box him out just to keep him out of the paint, because he's eating them up on offensive glass.
11-2 run for University of Washington right now. Burton lost it out of bounds. Last touch by Matthew Bryan Ammoning.
Abdul Gaddy on the floor.
Abdul Gaddy comes back in for UW. Benoit Overton sits down. Isaiah Thomas puts it up and in. 30-second timeout called by Oregon State. 10-point Husky lead.
Since that one time, Rich, when Josh Tarver went up there for the block on Isaiah Thomas, he has learned his lesson And he is really shielding himself with that left hand and finishing every time he gets to that paint.
We were talking about RPI and how a loss to a team with a 173 RPI would hurt the University of Washington. Well, their last loss to USC, they fell from 50 to 59 in their RPI when they lost to a team that was number 83 in the RPI. So to lose to a team at 173 would be a big time blow to their hopes.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to do the math on that, but I know that they will be dropping far beneath where they want to go. And the NCAA Tournament Committee is all about how you finish up. Teams that finish off strong, they always have a good chance of securing that bid into the tournament. And with UW winning 8 of the last 10, you know, you can't get too much stronger than that.
Oregon State's last field goal came at the 6:59 mark. We now have 2 minutes left here in the first half. Calvin Haynes, nice move, puts it in.
That's just a big-time move from a big-time player, but you got to get back.
And Coupon puts it in.
Other teams play at 60 miles per hour. UW pushes that speed limit to 80. After you score, you have to get everybody back to that paint to protect it.
Here's Burton against Brian Ammoning. 2 big boys under there. And over and back violation as Cunningham's foot was on the line. Turnover on Joe Burton, that's his third.
You see Craig Robinson not happy. I think what we're seeing is the physicality, the physical nature of Washington really wearing on Oregon State. Joe Burton, a guy who's 300 pounds, having problems moving Brian Ammoning back under the basket. And, you know, he's not going to get any more easier looks. He started off hot, and now UW has made the adjustments, and they're keying in on Joe Burton.
Seth Tarver back in the game, playing with 2 fouls, so they go back to 1-3-1 with him at the top of it. You can bet UW would like to see him draw his 3rd foul, so let's see if they take the ball at him. Hook pass from Thomas to Holiday. To the corner to Pondexter. Rattles out. Calvin Hampton the rebound. 10-point Husky lead, 1 minute left here in the first half. Calvin Haynes, Isaiah Thomas right now the matchup. Those 2 are teammates at South Kent Prep.
You know, Oregon State not getting very many easy looks at the basket. That's a great drive from Calvin Haynes, but 2 UW defenders around them. UW doing a good job on the defensive end, and that's what it's going to take. What Calvin Haynes just did right there, you have to make plays. You have to force the issue against the Huskies because they're not going to give you any easy looks.
And timeout called by the Huskies with 36 seconds left here. 8-point UW lead.
You know, Rich, it's plays like this. You know, when I came into the conference as a player for Oregon State in 2002, that was Lorenzo Romar's first year coaching the Huskies. And since that time, they have been a very aggressive, well-trained defensive unit. And the only times that we beat them were times where we made plays like that. And you have to do it throughout the game. It can't be at spurts for 1 or 2 minutes at a time. You have to do that all throughout the game. So Calvin Haynes is going to have to force the issue a little bit more. He is the leading scorer. He's going to have to make some big shots.
All right, let's go back to the RPI thing one more time. Remember, for UW to have a legitimate shot at an at-large berth in the tournament, they would have to have on Selection Sunday an RPI of 60 or better. Not a guarantee, but it would be nice. Their RPI right now is at 50. When they lost to Oregon earlier this year, Oregon was at 167, and UW fell 17 spots. Woo! From 12 to 29 in the RPI.
That's falling off a skyscraper. You can't afford to fall like that this late in the season.
Foul number 1, Jared Cunningham.
Foul is on Jared Cunningham. That's his second.
See a little chirping. Cunningham has a few words for Thomas. See, Cunningham has some words for Pondexter too. I think he has words for everybody. You don't want to get Quincy. You don't want to give him a reason to step his game up right now.
You don't typically see those kind of histrionics from Jared Cunningham.
That's right. Very quiet, very mild manner.
This is the front end of 1-1, and it's out of bounds. Last touch by Quincy Pondexter.
Well, Rich, usually exchanges like the one we just saw with Cunningham and Thomas and Pondexter, they'll spark one side, so we'll see which side is going to be sparked by that.
Shot clock 1 second ahead of the game clock here at the end of the first half. Huskies lead it by 8.
Expect Oregon State to run the clock down, and we should see a pick and roll situation with Calvin Haynes.
Dylan Schoftenar, meanwhile, is back on the Oregon State bench after leaving with what looked like a twisted ankle about 10 minutes ago. Calvin Haynes with 8 puts it up. He gets fouled. It's on Isaiah Thomas. That's his second.
That's Haynes just making a play. You saw the pick and roll come up. Oregon State likes to run that at the end of shot clock, game clock situations. And Calvin waved the screen away, felt like he could beat Isaiah one-on-one. Gets him in the air, and that's something Calvin's been really good at. We've seen that time and time. He'll get a defender up in the air, let the guy jump, then try to get 2 shots at the line.
If you're Lorenzo Romo, though, you can take that because they left you 9 seconds.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you know, you don't mind that. If you're gonna foul, then foul with some time on the clock and give yourself another chance.
Gaddy sits down. Overton comes in.
Well, Overton comes in because he can get down the court in about 2 or 3 seconds.
Haynes makes them both. Oregon State back within 6. Here's Vinoy Overton. You're right, shooting down the court, now behind the back dribble. Brian Ammoning for 2, and he drains it. Matthew Brian Ammoning. At halftime, the Huskies with an 8-point lead over Oregon State. Oregon State had 1 lead at 21-20. Then it was a 7-0 run for UW. The Huskies looking to protect that RPI and give themselves a shot at an at-large bid if they don't win the conference tournament next weekend. An 8-point lead over the Beavers at halftime in Corvallis. Here you say getting his Thumbelina on.
Getting his Thumbelina, his baseline tap that.
And a takeaway by Matthew Brian Ammoning. Darnell can't put it up. No, in fact, Abdul Gaddy, forgive me, and it was Schoftenar on the rebound. Here comes Cunningham. Fakes right, goes left against Holiday. Blocked by Holiday. Pondexter fights for the rebound, pulled down by Gaddy. And here comes Holiday on the other end. Alley-oop lob, jammed home by Matthew Brian Ammoning. NBA with his masters in the paint.
His masters in the paint and in the air, going up and catching the lob, and already the game has picked up the pace. The intensity has picked up. Both teams know there's a lot on the line, and they both want it.
10-point Husky lead. Schoftenar back in the game after injuring his ankle in the first half, and it's a blocking violation on Brian Ammoning.
Here you see Ammoning wondering, oh, well, first we're going to see him go up in this air. 11 feet above the ground, catching the lob, picking up where he left off. He just picked up the foul, and he felt like he was going backwards, and Schoftenar was running into him. Might have a case, but nevertheless, a foul was called.
1 minute gone here, second half. Joe Burton, a good entry passer, looking to go to Schoftenar, being fronted by Pondexter. Tarver against Holiday, goes around the Schoftenar, picks. Tarver put it up, not good. Rebound volleyball by Burton. And the rebound, a foul called against Washington and Abdul Gaddy. UW 55% in the first half. OSU 44%. Neither team could do much from three-point range. Foul on Gaddy, his first. Second team foul for the Huskies. They have both fouls here in the second half. Burton against Brian Ammoning, and blocked by Brian Ammoning. Pulled down by Holiday. Lobs it ahead to Gaddy. True freshman against true freshman. Fouled by Jared Cunningham, and one for Abdul Gaddy.
Well, that entire break was created by Brian Ammoning's great defensive positioning, great defensive play. And then UW, this is how they want to play. They want to get out on the break. They have guards like Abdul Gaddy who can finish in the paint. If you let them loose and let this game go up and down, it will play right into their hands.
Converts the three-point play. Jared Cunningham committed his third foul. He had to come out. Now, he's not playing much like a freshman lately. That was a freshman move right there, getting that third foul early in the second half.
Exactly. Jared has to realize that the team needs him more than they needed him to stop those 2 points on the other end. So now he has to sit out. Somebody else has to step up.
Then in the paint, Seth Carver ran into Matthew Bryan Ammon. Four to shoot. Burton tried to go inside to Shoftanov. Taken away by Holiday. Justin Holiday turns it over to Seth Carver. Carver down the right of the lane. Rattles out. That was a big problem for Oregon State up at UW. Missed layups. Isaiah Thomas reverse lay it up and in. Wow, he's fun to watch.
Isaiah Thomas, well worth the price of admission.
A 15-point Husky lead. Carver couldn't finish. Isaiah Thomas does. Huskies by 15. They're on a 7-0 run to begin the half. Let's have a look at our Les Schwab game summary. What's happened here in the second half of the Huskies?
So UW, they want to play the game at a fast pace. We have seen them start this second half faster than the first half. And this is why they want to get out in transition. They have guards like Abdul Gaddy, Isaiah Thomas, who once they get out on the break, it's usually going to either be 2 points or a foul, and they're going to be at the free throw line.
UW, 34 points in the paint. 34, they're 44. Oregon State, 16 points in the paint. So whereas Oregon State was able to limit the inside game of UW in that 6-point Huskies win on New Year's Eve in Seattle, they have not been able to limit it today.
Well, again, Lorenzo Romar, he watched film from that game and went back to the drawing board with his coaches and figured, what do they need to do different? They knew they needed to get into the paint more. They've done that so far. They knew how they needed to switch up their defensive matchup. They've done that so far, taking Calvin Haynes out of the game for the most part. And so they made the adjustments that you're supposed to make.
Burton looking high-low to Shoftanov, but Shoftanov being fronted by Pondexter. Tenacious man-to-man D by the Huskies. Shoftanov left open momentarily. Pondexter came out to get him. The floater by Ruland. He puts it in.
That's Ruland just making a play. Making a play. That's how you have to play basketball to beat Washington. They're not going to let you run your sets. You have to make plays against their aggressive defense.
Inside, Holiday puts it up. Not good. Great entry pass by Isaiah Thomas. Shoftanov tried to get it to Seth Carver, taken away, and here is Matthew Bryan Ammon hit the front of the rim, not good. Third opportunity rolls out. Abdul Gaddy puts it up, not good. 5 chances, Gaddy finally puts it in.
They don't lead the conference in rebounding for no reason. You see the aggressiveness. I told you, there's some dogs. That basketball is a piece of meat, and they're going to eat.
4 offensive rebounds that time down the floor for UW. It's out of bounds off of Abdul Gaddy, who's claiming it was last touched by Joe Burton, and I think Gaddy has a beef.
Which, I mean, let's count. I mean, there's 1, there's 2, there's another. Well, if you guys are going to get in, let me get in. Well, let me get in twice just because, just for fun. And these guys are relentless on the offensive glass.
Tyrese Brashears, the redshirt freshman from Price High School in LA, checks in as Matthew Bryan Ammon comes out. Roy Overton into the game for UW. Calvin Hampton in for Oregon State. He stepped on the baseline. I take that back. It's a foul called against Quincy Pondexter.
20, Quincy Pondexter.
Take a look at Ruland Shoftanov.
His second personal.
And he hurt his leg again.
It looks like that leg is just a little weak. You saw him try to plant on it, and it's weak, and it gave out on him. There was no foul, no physical contact. Just doesn't have the strength in that leg. So
Seth Carver puts it in. 13-point Husky lead. Thomas underneath. Pondexter's shot rejected by Burton. Hammered visions of Bob Lanier from 4 decades ago. Sending that one hard out of play.
Yeah, well, you can't give that a Bob Lanier reference. You got to come into now there, Rich. That's like a Birdman. Chris Anderson from the Nuggets type of block. Flying in from behind is Joe Burton trying to create some energy.
You take care of 2010, I'll take care of 1975. How's that? Pondexter put him up. Not good. He's fouled. .56 to go. Huskies lead it 46-33. Yeah, many big names have played here at Oregon State. A.C. Green, Steve Johnson among them. Washington leading Oregon State 46-33. 4 minutes gone here in the second half. Quincy Pondexter will be at the free throw line after the foul by Lathan Wallace. And let's have a look at our U.S. Marines leaders of the game. And for Quincy Pondexter, this weekend, 42 points in Eugene and Corvallis. He had 34 on Thursday in Eugene against the Ducks, making his case for Pac-10 Player of the Year. And many people say it's between him and Jerome Randall of Cal. And if you've watched Pondexter this weekend, he has made a strong case.
Oh, yeah, he's making a statement. And, you know, with Quincy, he's all about the team, so he can care less whether or not he gets that award. It'd be nice, but he's more concerned with his team winning this game and getting to the NCAA tournament and making a final run in his last season.
Meanwhile, Jerome Randall was 2 of 10 from the floor. And he had 10 points in Cal's win over Stanford. Inside from Burton to Calvin Hampton, off Hampton's hands and out of play. Turnover on Oregon State.
Well, there Burton has the right idea, just didn't make the right pass. Has to soften that pass up a little bit, make a good high-low entry feed.
Overton against the 1-3-1, able to pass out of it to Elston Turner. Great job of ball moving the entire game for UW. Shovel pass from Pondexter underneath to Brashears. It wouldn't fall. Rebound Hampton. Burton gave Lathan Wallace a little nod to get him to go base to base, and Wallace now with it, backing in, goes up. His shot rejected. No foul on the play. Beaver Dam, the student section, calling for the foul. And Bobby McRoy telling the UW bench to sit down. Seth Tarver. And the rebound, Tyrese Brashears.
That's the shot that Seth Tarver has to take. Being the senior leader out there on the floor. No Calvin Haynes on the floor, no Ruben Shaftenar.
No look from Isaiah Thomas, who tried to force it and do too much to Pondexter, taken away. Lathan Wallace puts a player in the air for 3, and he drains it.
That's what Lathan Wallace does. He is not bashful about taking and making big shots. He has done it this season so far. Causes UW to call a 30-second timeout.
Wallace had a game-winning three-pointer against Arizona in this building back in January. And at a time when Oregon State needs a 3, put Pondexter in the air and calmly canned it.
Yeah, that game-winning 3 was from a similar side of the court, right on that side. And I mean, that's what he does. He's a shooter. And, you know, Oregon State right now only down 12. I would think if there was no score running right now, we would think that they'd be down 20 or 25 with just the momentum swings we've had. So that is a plus for Oregon State. If they can get some things going, hit a few more big shots, then they can be right back in this game where they want to be.
Oregon State came back in Seattle from a fairly big deficit to have a chance to tie the game with under a minute to go before Washington eventually won it by 6, 76-70. Kicked out of play by Omari Johnson. And Pondexter will inbound it with 27 on the timer, leading it by a dozen. Isaiah Thomas draws a crowd, and for 3, it's good by Elston Turner. He was open because Thomas was basically triple teamed on that 1-3-1.
Well, Isaiah Thomas is doing what any smart point guard does, and that's drive, draw, and dish. He is causing 2 and 3 defenders at a time to guard him, and he's locating his open teammates.
Calvin Hampton jump hook. Lorenzo Romar will take that shot all day long. Isaiah Thomas for 3, and he drains it. Suddenly an 18-point Huskies lead.
Well, that's what makes him good. The play before, he finds the open guy. The next play, he recognizes when it's his time to shine, and he fills that role.
against Thomas. Hampton might have walked, they don't call it.
And now Oregon State's just not getting very good movement.
Wallace backing in against Overton. Lincoln Wallace puts it in. So hit from the outside and now from the inside.
He can do that. He's been stereotyped as a straight shooter, but he can get to that paint and finish.
Another three-point effort by Turner. This time it won't fall. And we got a foul called against Tyrese Brashears on the rebound. That's his second. 14 foul on the Huskies.
Well, the UW coaches are not mad about that. The reason that they lead the conference in rebounding is because of aggressive plays like that. And the con of that aggressiveness is sometimes you get the foul, so they'll live with that.
Roland Schoftenauer back in the game for Oregon State. Twice he has fallen to the floor with an injured right leg. Now there's Matthew Bryan Ammoney. Good backdoor. Seth Carver puts it in and one. Great entry pass by Schoftenauer.
The movement created it. We just said that Oregon State's not getting a lot of movement. Seth Carver realizes that, starts off standing, gets the cut, and a nice, strong finish. Every time UW looks like they are about to extend this lead and put the game out of reach, Oregon State has been able to answer with the big shot. Now what they have to do is put a string of these big shots together. You can't trade baskets. You have to get stops.
That's 3 fouls on Quincy Pondexter. Jared Cunningham with 3 fouls for Oregon State checks in, replacing Lathan Wallace. Overton hooks it to Isaiah. Underneath, Pondexter puts it up. Not good. Foul against Oregon State. It's against Jared Cunningham, and that is his 4th.
Well, here's a play again. We talked about Cunningham. Might be a bit of a phantom foul there, but if you're Cunningham, you can't put yourself in a situation, so don't even swing at that ball. You know you have 3 fouls. Your team can't afford for you to pick up the 4th. You have to take yourself away from that situation, and he doesn't do it there.
So you're saying even though it looked clearly like he didn't foul him, there's some culpability for Jared Cunningham to not put the officials in that situation and take a swing.
Do not confuse the refs. These refs are human too. So some plays where as a bystander we may be watching and it looks like a foul to us, same thing happens with those guys. So they make mistakes too, so you don't want to confuse them or put them in a situation to make that call.
Well, Cunningham has to go back out. Josh Tarver hands it off to Haynes. Lobbed it to Seth Tarver. Underneath, backpedaling, put it up, not good. He's fouled. It's on Elston Turner, his second. 16 foul on UW. Meanwhile, Oregon State has committed 3 fouls here in the second half. 15-point Husky lead. They've led by as many as 18. Tarver's free throw, not good.
Justin Holiday returning for the Huskies for Pondexter.
If you're Oregon State, Rich, you want to keep this thing within striking distance, and they've been able to do it so far. You don't want to let this UW team, who's very, very explosive, start stringing together a huge run on you, because they'll put the game out of reach.
Missed them both, but Oregon State gets it back. OSU now 9 of 12 from the free throw line. Schoftenauer puts it in. Injured right leg and all. Overton underneath to Bryan Ammoney, who slams it home.
The penetration from UW has been exceptional tonight. They've been eating that 1-3-1 alive because their guards are getting into the seam. And again, this is what makes them so tough.
Schoftenauer from the base. Roland starting to heat up a little bit. 13-point Husky lead. Yeah, the quickness of these guards enables them to dribble between that 1-3-1.
So you see Oregon State switch to a 2-3, a more compact zone, which disables a lot of those drives that UW's been getting.
That 1-3-1 really is risk-reward, isn't it?
It is.
Inside, Thomas's shot won't fall. Turner, pardon me, wouldn't fall. Roland Schoftenauer gets fouled by Matthew Bryan Ammoney. And it'll be a 1-on-1 situation for Schoftenauer. 11:45 left in the second half. The Huskies lead the Beavers 58-45 in the final Pac-10 regular season game for both teams. College Hoops on FSN is presented by Oberto Beef Jerky. Don't be a sidekick, eat like an alpha. And by Barrier Motors, a promise to do more. Visit barriermotors.com. The Huskies have lit it up here in the second half. They lead it 58-45. They started the half on a 7-0 run over Oregon State and led by as many as 18. They lead by 13 right now.
Well, they definitely picked up the pace of this game in the second half, and that's how they want to play. Again, if you're Oregon State, you don't want to let UW get out of control with their runs, because they'll pour on 10 points in a matter of 2 minutes.
The foul on Matthew Bryan Ammoning prior to the timeout was his second. Rebound, Seth Tarver. Shoftenauer against Bryan Ammoning. Backs in against Matthew.
It's senior night.
And one.
It's senior night, Rich.
Roland Shoftenauer. 11 points. 9 of them in the second half.
Matthew Bryan Ammoning.
For Matthew Bryan Ammoning, that is his third personal foul. And Shoftenauer to try to pull Oregon State back to a single-digit deficits. They trail by 9. When OSU came back on New Year's Eve, it was against a hostile crowd up at Heck Ed. Here it's different. To shoot. Four to shoot. Overton for 3. Draining it with the shot clock waning. His second three-pointer.
Huge shot from Renoy Overton, taking advantage of Oregon State's mistake. Did not locate him. He knocks it down.
After a 12-point lead for the Dogs. Shoftenauer, 10 points in the second half. Seth Tarver now. He got ripped out of the air by Matthew Bryan Ammoning, playing with 3 fouls. Isaiah Thomas floats it underneath the Pondexter, who puts it in.
Great decision. Isaiah Thomas has done that about 4 or 5 times tonight. Found his way into that paint and has drawn all of Oregon State's bigs. Nice feed.
Midway through the second half now. 14-point Huskies lead. 5 unanswered for UW. Calvin Haynes for 3. Seth Tarver gets the weak side board, fighting it away from Isaiah Thomas. Calvin Haynes goes up. He's expert at that, leaning into a player, and he draws the foul from Justin Holiday.
22, Justin Holiday. His second personal.
That's his second, 9th team foul. 2 shots for Calvin Haynes, and from here on out, OSU will be in the double bonus. Final 9:42. Oregon State has not been a good free throw shooting team this year. They were just 12 of 23 at the free throw line in their win over Washington State on Thursday. Calvin Haynes, 65%. And this is the first. Nathan Wallace in, Josh Tarver out. Craig Robinson, I'm sure, fit to be tied, wondering what he has to do to get his team to shoot better free throws.
Yeah, there's not too much more he could do. They practice it in practice. They do it in the pregame. It's just going to be up to them to make them.
13-point Husky lead. You get towards the 1-3-1, so OSU into the 2-3 zone. Holiday over Shoftenauer, tipped up by Bryan Ammoning, not good. Lathan Wallace was lining up a long three. Omari Johnson can can a three, and he does. Back to a 10-point deficit for OSU.
Last time Oregon State got it to 10, they had a chance to get a big stop, and they didn't do it. We'll see if they can come up with it now.
Holiday inside of Matthew Bryan Emening. Jump hook, not good. Rebound, Seth Tarver. The last time Oregon State finished with a 500 conference record was 17 years ago. This building is loud tonight, bringing back visions of the 1980s when Oregon State was fantastic. A little bit of serendipity. Back to Seth Tarver. Omari's three-pointer won't fall. Tarver with another offensive rebound. Back to Omari Johnson. Scoop for the hoop, not good. Bryan Emening falls to the floor. Foul called against Oregon State. And it's against Omari Johnson. His first.
Rich, with the intensity and aggressiveness of this game, I find myself being a fan. I got to remember, I got to talk about this a little bit. You see Omari Johnson getting into that paint with the up and under move. He wanted the blocking foul, but you're not going to get that in this conference. You got to go up strong. Good defense from Bryan Emening.
Huskies by 10. 8:20 to go. And a foul called against Lathan Wallace, and that's his second. 15 foul. Out of bounds at the base. Abdul Gaddy checks in for Justin Holiday. Calvin Hampton replaces Ruben Schaffenau. Schaffenau with 10 second-half points and 12 overall, and playing with an injured right leg. Haynes batted away from Bryan Emening. It's on the floor. Diving try by Omari Johnson, and picked up by Bryan Emening, and timeout called by UW.
Very heads-up play by Bryan Emening, saving the ball and getting that timeout quick. Every possession is important right now, and you see him. It's not very often your center dives on the floor for a loose ball like this, but he knows what's at stake.
Remember, there is more basketball tonight here on FSN. The Washington 4A boys and girls state titles on the line from the Tacoma Dome. After this, at 7, it'll be the boys, Jackson against Kentwood. At 9, the girls, Auburn Riverside against Meade of Spokane. And next weekend, it's the OSAA 6A matchups. That's Saturday, as the Oregon finalists will take place at the Rose Garden in Portland. All games right here on FSN and FSN HD. Benoit Overton looking to get it in underneath the Pondexter, being fronted by Calvin Haynes. Benoit Overton, the junior, against the senior Seth Tarver. Back outside of the sophomore Thomas, and he drains it for 3. Isaiah Thomas.
Thomas for 3.
UW following their game plan to a T right now. All the driving, the penetration, the passing, locating their shooters. They are playing offense the way it's supposed to be played.
Foul against Isaiah Thomas. That is his third. 7:45 to go. Calvin Haynes will be at the line for 2 when we come back, with the Huskies leading it by 13. UW leads by 13, 7:45 to go. Say, tomorrow, ACC Sunday Night Hoops takes the floor. Trevor Booker and Clemson take on the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. Live coverage tips off at 3 p.m. here on FSN and FSN HD. Isn't this fun, Lamar? The end of the regular season, conference tournaments coming up, and then the madness begins.
That's what it's all about. I mean, that's why you play the games, for the end, for March. Everybody wants to make it there. Everybody wants to keep playing. Both of these two teams are fighting for a position to keep playing late into March, whether it's the NCAA tournament, NIT, whatever. They want to keep playing.
Calvin Haynes to the free throw line for 2 shots. If Oregon State comes from behind to win, they when they would play Arizona in the 4-5 game at noon on Thursday. If UW hangs on, they would face Oregon State again in 5 days. That would be the 3 versus 6 game at 6 o'clock on Thursday. And of course, the entire Pacific Life Pac-10 men's basketball tournament televised right here on FSN, except the title game, which our friends at CBS will take care of.
So far all game, UW has been driving, drawing, and kicking. This last 7 minutes and 30 seconds, I don't expect to see anything different.
They haven't had to kick too much. The drives have been fairly successful.
That's right. Sometimes you drive, draw, or keep, or you just catch and shoot.
Put back up by Matthew Bryan Emmening and in.
And that's the advantage they have. Even when they miss, they will most likely come back up with a second chance points. It's something huge for them.
20 points for Matthew Bryan Emmening, 3-sided of his season high against Belmont way back in November. Seems like a year ago. Here's Benoit Overton on the break. Put it up and in. 15-point Husky advantage. 6:50 to go. UW trying to avoid the OSU run that happened back on New Year's Eve that got the Beavers back into the game up in Montlake. Thomas against Wallace. Thomas reached in and got a piece of it, and Lathan touched it out of bounds. Great defensive play by Isaiah Thomas.
It was a terrific play. I mean, right now, Rich, fast break points, UW. We talked about how they wanted to come out of the gates in the second half and speed it up. 19 fast break points, Oregon State only 2. And so we see that reflected in the score right now.
Overton inside to Matthew Bryan Emmening, and we got a whistle and a foul. Willem Schaftenaar was defending. It was before the shot, and it's against Schaftenaar.
Foul number 10, Roland Schaftenaar.
That's his second.
If you're Oregon State, you might have to send a double team, or at least you have to show some help with Emmening posted against Schaftenaar. Schaftenaar's leg not very strong right now. You know, can't hold up against that physical nature of Emmening.
Justin Holiday comes in to inbound the ball. It was the 16th foul. Both teams the bonus from here on out, and Holiday smartly calls the timeout. 6:21 left. 30-second timeout called by UW. Talking about Justin Holiday, how'd you like it if you're playing college basketball and your younger brother was playing in the NBA? Drew Holiday of the Philadelphia 76ers.
That's something. That's something. But, you know, both of those brothers love each other. And I know Justin is very happy for Drew. But that is a bit of a trip for your little brother to be up there and kind of looking down on you.
Right. You know, a lot of people were surprised when Drew Holiday left UCLA and came out, but he's played 52 games. He started 30 of them for the Sixers, averaging 6.2 points a game, and he is the youngest player in the NBA. Drew Holiday, the first player born in the 1990s to play in the National Basketball Association. How old do you feel right now?
Man, let's just change the subject. I always thought I was young.
Young at heart, baby. Let's see, Pondexter tried to slam it home and gets fouled by Schaftenaar. And for Rulon, that's his third.
Oregon State foul number 10, Roland Schaftenaar.
That is a man's move from Coupon to face up. He is such a tough matchup there for a 7-footer. I mean, Pondexter is really a guard, and a lot of times he'll operate in that 15-foot and in range. Called for some 7-footers to guard him, but I don't know too many 7-footers in the country that can guard him from 15 feet and in.
Pondexter now with 15 points, and we understand he's playing with a little bit of a cold, bordering on a flu, but hadn't hurt him. Maybe not as dominating a game as he had on Thursday, but Oregon State very much keen on Pondexter, which has opened up some things for some other people. And Burton jump hook over Bryan Emmening, not good.
Here's where UW wants to extend. They want to push this lead up right now, and a shot here will do that.
Benoit Overton, and he drains it for 3.
But that shot from Overton and the 3 he hit a few minutes ago are shots that he might not necessarily take and make if he didn't make that shot early in the game. So he got going early, and it's continued where he left off.
Shot there on out with 14-12 in the second half. 18-point Husky lead. That 20-point advantage was their biggest. 5:20 to go. Underneath Holiday to Brian Ammoning. One-on-one. Now Burton comes over for the double team, but a little late. Brian Ammoning puts it in.
Rich, if you watch, you see UW is just playing at a whole different pace in Oregon State. That physical nature, that's why they play this way, is to wear you down in the last 5 minutes, and so far they've been successful at that.
Here's Burton against Brian Ammoning. Past him and puts it in. Overton underneath to Quincy Pondexter. Blocked from behind by Seth Tarver. Pulled down by Calvin Haynes. Haynes doesn't have the numbers. It's 1-on-3. Puts it up anyway and rattles it home. 30-second timeout called by Oregon State. They now trail it by 16.
Well, 3 ends, no numbers necessary for Calvin. He don't care if it's 1-on-1, 1-on-3. He knows there's 4 minutes and 38 seconds left. He has to make a play. Seth Tarver also realizes it. You see the great defensive play, and that's how the break started. And we see it, Rich, 1-on-3 right there, but there's not a lot of time to sit back and think.
A shot at an at-large bid should they not win the conference tourney next weekend down at Staples Center. A loss in this one would hurt them badly. Oregon State, meanwhile, they are playing for their 4 seniors on senior night here at Gill Coliseum and playing to try to get the number 5 seed in the conference tourney and face Arizona instead of the number 6 seed where they'd have to face UW again in 5 days.
Well, another thing about this win for Oregon State, it would make them 500 for the season, which would be a big deal in the conference. And so, you know, both teams have plenty of reasons to want to win tonight.
Foul number 11.
Fouls on Joe Burton.
His
First foul on Joe. 18 foul on Oregon State, and Justin Holiday to the free throw line, 79%er.
You know, Rich, I was watching one of the college basketball preview tournament shows, and one team pointed out Washington and their chance of making a run in the tournament as we look at teams that, you know, with their RPIs and where they've been in, and I fully expect Washington to not only get in the tournament, but make a pretty good run in it. I mean, they're a team that can match up with any fast team in the country. I believe they can match up with any team with size because they have the combination of both. So it'll be very interesting to see what the selection committee does with him.
Everybody down on the Pac-10. How about Cal with an RPI of 21 at the time this game began and not getting a single vote in the AP poll. Not a single vote.
That's just haters. Everybody got haters.
And blocking foul of Seth Tarver took the ball into the lane. Well, that's against Matthew Brian Ammoning. It's his 4th, and it is.
Matthew Brian Ammoning.
So Arizona with an RPI of 81. And all along, you and I, Lamar, have said we've gone against the grain and said we thought the Pac-10 would get 3 teams in. Matter of fact, we talked about Cal, UW, and ASU way back weeks ago in the first half of the conference season. Arizona, Sean Miller, with all the 5 outstanding freshmen, he could have that team make a run through the conference tournament and win the thing.
Exactly. I mean, you expect Washington to get in. You expect Cal to get in. An outside chance for ASU. Who knows what the committee's going to do with them. And then you say Arizona wins or somebody else. You're looking at 3 to 4 teams, which sounds pretty crazy considering how the conference has gone this year.
It'd be something if the other 3 teams won their first round games and Arizona won the tournament and Pac-10 got 4 teams in. Highly unlikely.
If that happens, you and I need to go public and say that we claim that would happen early in the year.
We have it on videotape.
We do have it on tape.
I don't think we said 4, though. We said 3.
We said 4. Yeah, we weren't that crazy.
Put back up and in by Calvin Hampton. His first points.
It's still just a 14-point game with 3.5 minutes to go. If you're Oregon State, you have to start taking chances on defense. You got to expand out.
Brashear's fouled by Calvin Hampton. 3:33 left here at Gill Coliseum in Corvallis. The Dogs by 14. Huskies lead by 14, 3:33 to go. Let's have a look at our Oberto Beef Jerky Alpha plays of the game. And for Washington, it has been big time in the paint.
Oh, huge in the paint. You know, Washington is always among the conference leaders of rebounding, offensive or defensive. And the very few times they have missed tonight, they are getting second and third and fourth chances. Here you see two, you see three, you see Gaddy goes up and says, well, I want another try at it. I mean, 5 chances at one shot. Most likely they're going to come up with something.
You know, it's interesting, though, as Oregon State out-rebounding Washington 32 to 28. Would you have guessed that?
No, matter of fact, I'm going to go stat check that, because I mean, I don't know if whoever took that stat's watching the same game we're watching. But maybe UW is kind of like Costco. They do their stuff in bulk, so they may go a few minutes without a rebound, and then they just get 4 in a row in one possession.
Brashears banks the free throw home. Did he call it? 15-point lead for the Huskies. 3.5 to go. Points in the paint. Washington 42 to 32. Out of bounds back to Oregon State. They had 28 points in the paint in the first half, 14 in the second, and they're hitting more from the outside here in the second because Oregon State's packing the paint.
Yeah, and that's why they're tough, because you take away something from them and they answer, they adjust, and that's why they're one of the top teams in the conference.
Foul away from the ball. Pondexter banging bodies around the Ruben Schaffner. Foul on Coupon, and that's his 4th.
His fourth. Ruben Schaffner on the line.
Quincy Pondexter, there is a great video at GoHuskies.com about with Pondexter with Steve Lavin, who's now a basketball analyst, and Pondexter's telling him he wants his job. When Pondexter's done, he wants to get into broadcasting. He might want your job.
Hey, come on, Coupon, stay away from that, man. Go play. He needs to go play a few years. He has a lot of years of playing in him. You know, hopefully he wants a shot at the NBA, which I think he'll get a shot at it. Great size, great ability, showing he can knock down the outside shot. There's been a knock on his game early in his career. You don't need my job, man.
Pondexter, projected first-round pick in the NBA. And the pass from Overton to Gaddy. Gaddy wasn't looking, and the ball flew by him and out of play.
You know, and going back to Quincy, you know, we know a guy, UW, who stayed 4 years and really improved each year and had a good tournament run his last year, named Brandon Roy, who Pondexter is really kind of molding his game after.
How about that staying all 4 years? Josh Tarver off the glass and good. Beaver needs somebody to get hot. We need to turn up the heat on the defense.
It's just a 12-point game right now, and Oregon State, you want to take chances. Right now, Ruben Schaffner can't be 10 feet off Pondexter. You have to play aggressive defense, not passive.
Scott Suggs into the game for the first time for Washington. Sophomore from Washington, Missouri. And he handed it off to Quincy Pondexter.
Here's the matchup UW wants, a one-on-one with Pondexter, who's a guard against Schaffner, a 7-footer who's not used to being in these situations defensively.
They spread the floor. Pondexter goes up, double team by Hampton. Air ball.
The basket here can cut it to 10. If it's a 3, cut it to 9.
Backdoor, Calvin Haynes puts it up and in. Huskies lead. It had been 20. Suggs for 3. Weak side board, Hampton. Well, how about that? Asking a guy to can a 3 right off the bench. First time in the game. Haynes for 3. Rattles out. Tyrese Brashears grimacing in pain as he comes down with the rebound.
Well, Rich, that last possession, I don't know if Romar asked Suggs to take that 3, which is why we see Isaiah Thomas checking back in to make sure this game gets closed out for the Huskies. And again, Oregon State is being very passive on the defensive end, down 10. You don't want to let UW just run clock.
On the drive, some of the crowd calling for a walk on Quincy Pondexter. A foul called against Calvin Haynes.
Well, that's the danger if you're Oregon State of allowing UW to run the clock down, is if once the clock runs down,
the play doesn't go in your favor, then you suffer double time, whereas if you commit a foul earlier on or you go for a steal. So, not sure though.
Ruben Schoftenau comes out, and he gets a standing ovation here at Gill Coliseum. 12-point Husky lead.
You know, Rich, a great sign of sportsmanship. As Schoftenau was going out the game, you saw Vanoy Overton clap for him. That's just, you know, great sportsmanship. It's all basketball at the end of the day.
Angus Brand into the game, trying to fight it away, and we have a held ball. Alternating possession goes the Huskies' way. Now, we should mention that Oregon State could have another home game if they play in a postseason tournament, such as the CBI, which they won last year.
Yeah.
And now Seth Tarver comes out and gets his turn at a round of applause. Nice job by Craig Robinson to take these guys out one by one and let them all have their moment.
It is. They deserve it. These guys put in 4 years of hard work, and Craig Robinson wants to show that and give them their moment, which they do all deserve.
And now Calvin Hampton, a senior from Fort Washington, Maryland, getting his moment. And Josh Tarver as well. But all 4 seniors out.
These are all guys that the future Beavers will look back on, guys who helped pave the way for them, and so you definitely want to give them their respect as it's due.
Chris Richard into the game for Oregon State, along with Daniel Dean, Angus Brandt, Amari Johnson, Calvin Haynes. 37 seconds left. And the Huskies are going to protect that RPI. We already knew they were going into the Pac-10 tournament as the number 3 seed. Overton hands it off to Trent, and he tried to dish it off, and it's taken away. Isaiah Thomas gets it back. 20 seconds left. So Lamar, it's been a pleasure working with you. Big win for Washington in this game.
Huge win for Washington. Their sights are set on that NCAA tournament and making a run deep. I believe that they will do it.
And they have a 12-point win over the Beavers here at Gill Coliseum in Corvallis. Don't go away. We've got more basketball coming up. It's the WIAA 4A, state title games. The boys coming up and the girls at 9. For Curtis Wilson, our producer, director Jeff Curtin. For Lamar Hurd, I'm Rich Burke. Goodbye from Gill Coliseum here in Corvallis, where the Huskies come away with a victory over the Beavers, 82-70.